Worship Outside the Box, a weekly blog of creative ideas for leading worship. Constructing a Service, Part 2. Choosing Hymns, Songs and Waiata. Worship leaders, do you struggle to choose hymns, songs and Waiata that not only fit the theme of a service but are also singable and meaningful for your congregation? Are you unsure about balancing tradition with new material, dealing with inclusive language, or collaborating effectively with musicians? This post gives worship leaders a clear, practical process for selecting hymns and songs that deepen congregational engagement, support the service theme, and create an uplifting worship experience. It also offers advice on working with the organist, introducing new material, and addressing inclusive language sensitively and thoughtfully. The purpose of hymns, songs, and Waiata in worship. In this post, I'm focusing on hymns, songs, and Waiata sung by the congregation during the service, rather than items performed by a choir, singing group, or band that people listen to. Wellington composer and church musician Jonathan Buchan puts it beautifully in the introduction to Festival Singers' CD, People of the Light, which features his music. Church is one of the few places left where ordinary people who don't consider themselves musicians, are still expected to sing as a matter of course. And just as cooking is far too important to be left to professional chefs, I believe singing is far too important to be left to singers. Secondly, church is a place where people, also as a matter of course, wrestle with and reflect upon deep things, life and death, good and evil, justice and mercy. To enter church is to join a conversation that has been going on about these things for a few thousand years now. Singing hymns and songs in worship isn't just about praising God. It's a way to explore the deep things of our faith. Hymns often use simpler, more direct language than sermons or liturgy, offering a different, accessible way for people to engage with the themes of the readings and the service. The physical act of singing together connects us emotionally and spiritually. A rousing hymn can unite and uplift a congregation. Memorable melodies and harmonies help lodge the words in our hearts, allowing the message of the service to stay with us during the week. Sources. Start with the hymn books and songbooks your congregation currently uses. Borrow copies and look for hymns or songs you know and like, or those whose words fit the theme for your service. Our congregation regularly sings from the UK Methodist Hymns and Psalms, dated from the late 1980s, and the earlier With One Voice, which includes a helpful supplement of New Zealand hymns at the back. The New Zealand Hymn Book Trust 4 collections are a treasure trove of Aotearoa hymns on a wide range of topics. You can order these from us. Alleluia, Aotearoa, Faith Forever Singing, Carol Our Christmas, Hope is Our Song. A week or so before your service, talk to your organist about the themes you're covering and ask for their input. They may have suggestions for hymns or tunes that fit well and are familiar to the congregation. Heather and I sing in Festival Singers, and we've been blessed to sing many new compositions by Jonathan Buchan, the choir's accompanist. Many are suitable for congregational singing, and we've successfully introduced several in our own church. You can order his PDF collection of Christmas music, This Is Why the Angels Sing, from us. If you write your own hymns or songs, why not teach one to your congregation? It's a rewarding experience for both you and them. CDs and YouTube are also good sources for new material. However, you'll need to transcribe or download the lyrics, arrange a singable version of the tune, and be prepared to accompany it yourself on guitar or piano. Don't just send a link to your organist and expect them to sort it out at short notice. Textual variations. If you're singing straight from a hymn book in the pews, there's no issue. But if you're adding hymn text to an order of service or projection slides, you'll often find variations in wording from one source to another. Hymnary.org is an excellent resource for hymn texts. You can copy and paste directly from the site, but be aware that their representative text may differ from the version your congregation knows. This is true of any hymn text found online. Always read through the words carefully and edit as needed. Then sing aloud all the words of the hymn to make sure that they still fit the tune. If I edit a text for use in an order of service, I make a note after the title, for instance, brackets adapted, close brackets, so it's clear. Inclusive language. Where possible, I update gendered language in hymns to gender-neutral terms. I'm convinced this helps everyone identify with and engage in the singing. Often the changes are simple. For example, Good Christian Men Rejoice becomes Good Christians All Rejoice. Close binding all mankind becomes close binding humankind. Occasionally a full rewrite of a line is needed. Brother, let me be your servant becomes Brother, sister, let me serve you. References to God as male, for instance, father, he or him, are more difficult to change effectively. I generally leave these as they are, unless I can make a change that feels natural and preserves the rhythm and meaning. Choosing tunes. Have you ever started singing a familiar hymn in a service, only to discover the accompanist is playing a different tune than you expected? We often assume our preferred tune is everyone else's favourite as well. If this happens while you're leading a service, don't stop and insist that the organist play your tune. Yes, I've seen this happen. Go with the flow, follow the organist's lead, and keep the singing going. As a professional courtesy, I email the organist by Wednesday night with the hymns and tunes I'd like them to play. This gives them time to suggest a better tune or one more familiar to the congregation. Be open to their advice. They often know what will work best. If you're introducing a new hymn or unfamiliar tune, ask the organist to play a full verse and refrain before the congregation joins in. This helps people catch the melody and join in confidently. Which is more important, good words or a singable tune? What should you do if you found a hymn text that fits perfectly with your theme, but is paired with an unattractive or difficult tune? First, check if there's another tune with the same meter that fits. Your organist may have suggestions. If you can't find an alternative that works, my advice is to drop the hymn and choose something else. It's better than having the congregation stumble through an awkward melody which can leave people feeling discouraged rather than uplifted. Placement of hymns in a service. I usually choose rousing, well-known hymns to open and close a service. Starting strong and finishing on an uplifting note helps shape the whole experience. I'm happy to use traditional hymns with great melodies and harmonies in these slots, even if the words are a bit old-fashioned or include some gendered language. The middle of the service, the second and third hymns or songs, is the best place to introduce something new. By then people are warmed up and more willing to try an unfamiliar tune or text. Further thoughts. Consider the congregation's singing ability. When choosing hymns or songs, think about the vocal range and complexity of the melody. Avoid tunes that are too high, too low, or have tricky intervals, unless you know your congregation are confident singers. Balance the familiar and the new. Include enough familiar songs to make people feel at home, and introduce new ones gradually. Repetition is the key. Plan to repeat new material over several weeks so it becomes familiar. Incorporate Waiata thoughtfully. If including Waiata, ensure they're introduced respectfully and taught well. Provide translations where appropriate and explain the meaning to deepen engagement. See our blog post on this topic, Singing Waiata in English Language Services. Check licensing and copyright. When using newer songs, especially from YouTube or CDs, make sure your church has the appropriate licenses, for example CCLI, to reproduce lyrics and play the music. Create a playlist for the week. Consider sending out a link to recordings of the hymns and songs you'll be singing on Sunday. This gives people a chance to listen and learn in advance. The Constructing a Service series. This is the second post in the Constructing a Service series. Last week's post covered the elements of a service. The following posts will cover finding or writing prayers and liturgy, writing your sermon, introducing the theme, story time, children's talk, designing, typesetting the order of service, 2 examples of services led by Philip. Over to you. What issues do you have when choosing hymns, songs or Waiata for your services? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Ngā mihi.